Hi, Dr. Alison J here in the heart chakra of the world. God bless it, Glastonbury, UK. And I want to talk with you today coming out of this week's training of new vibrational upgrade practitioners. So this is their first levels of working with me to become vibrational upgrade practitioners. And the feedback I received from them is not new about how they have been exposed to Reiki, and that's not just what I train in at all. But when they have been exposed to Reiki, either it's not enough attunements or it's not enough days of training. Let me say it this way. My lineage with the Reiki training is 6 removed from the founder of Reiki, Mikao Usui, Dr. Mikao Usui. And I actually have a contract signed by who he gave the Reiki lineage to prior to his death, Dr. Chijiro Hayashi, signing Hawaii Takada's, the third one in the lineage who brought Reiki from Japan to Hawaii and to the United States. I have a contract with both of their signatures. And this is relatively unheard of, this pure of a lineage. And I know my decade living in Asia really helps me teach from a perspective of understanding the master-student relationship in honor of and honoring of the lineage. So for example, I also am a Qigong teacher, which I learned in Asia, and there's 18 movements. And this is one of the types of Qigong created for busy Westerners who are stressed out and could use some stress reduction. And there's 18 movements in the series, and I remember hearing stories when I was training in it of you have the first year as an apprentice within the monastery where you only get to learn the very first movement, the raising of the chi for a year, doing dishes, sweeping, cleaning, to earn the right for that access to power. So I just want to be speaking to so many of you out there who are likely subscribers of my channel, and thank you for subscribing, because I know that you're somehow involved in some level of either receiving energy healing, doing it, or thinking about training. And I just have had so many people express to me that they're working with me in my Magic Manifestation and Money Flow Signature program, or they've come up into the mastermind where you first start in my Magic Manifestation and Money Flow program. And then, where it's appropriate, we explore about a quarter of those people get invited into the mastermind where you get to be trained as a vibrational upgrade practitioner. And it's interesting that I'm using this language, get to be trained, because from the increasing responses through the years of giving these trainings and perfecting how to instruct what the two main components of vibrational upgrade system are, it is really absolutely unique pairing of two of the main holistic health and wellness, human potential pathways. I don't know how to say this because it's not to you who's not in the training context, but what I want to communicate to you is one of the other things that really is a distinguishing factor with people and where they're at on this path, we could say the spiritual path or the path to learning about your soul's growth, or reaching your human potential. There is this distinction between having problems to solve and therefore needing energy healing. And what I do instead is, on Facebook, it says Dr. Alison J or Alison J Holistic Life Coach, and which is what I have a PhD in from a metaphysical university, and energy healer. And that was back right when I first got back from Asia, and there weren't other terms yet for it, and there still really aren't. I mean, here I am again. It's another example of where I'm 10 years ahead of the curve typically, in that whilst the human potential movement brought me in from the 70s, I wasn't a thinking conscious adult making my own choices in the 70s, but when I was in San Francisco in the 90s, there were a lot of movements, a lot of books in the bookstores about the human potential movement that I came across. And having entered college as a psych major for my bachelor's, it was really, when I left it because it was too problem focused, one of the people who just went through, this beloved new vibrational upgrade practitioner, currently, she is a therapist and looking for something more. Another one who is just in this group is a trained doctor looking for something more. So, and these aren't the first doctors nor clinical therapists or psychologists I've had getting trained in Vibrational UPgrade System. There is a way to go beyond problem focus and fixing something, and something that we have made significant, distinguishing it as a problem, when in fact on the spiritual path, if you take the mountaintop perspective or the satellite perspective, as I've been saying for the last couple of years, you can observe that your soul has a couple of touch points to grow beyond. That's karma. And they're called samskaras in Sanskrit, those 2 or 3 patterns that are really, persnickety. And we're here as a soul in a body to evolve beyond. And so evolving beyond that point, it's like where you feel like you've worked with all these other practitioners and you can't get through it. And you've gone to all this therapy and done all this work and joined all these programs and you still aren't through that. This is one of the things that I hear the most frequently from everybody working with me at any level. Coupled with Dr. Allison, I wish I had found you thousands or tens of thousands, or even one said $100,000 earlier or years earlier, because there is a way to not only be hammering about focusing on fixing a problem or healing an issue, and even beyond learning how to use the law of attraction and manifestation. When we have more light in our system, our vibration naturally increases, shaking out what are the lower frequencies. But we need a way to work with our minds so that we don't automatically conclude that even though I've done all this energy healing or energy clearing, using clearings and activations from me, for example, I still hear my mind bring me back to that problem as if it's still here. And because of my decades of being a meditator and being a meditation teacher, which I absolutely love, and a yoga teacher, which I absolutely love, certified and trained in India, the mind's thinking has to be addressed because it has a momentum of going down the same habitual path, yeah? When we cut the energy that causes the unconscious triggering or the subconscious reactivity, when we cut that with the clearings and activations, and because you're getting an activation, you're having the positive messaging put in. But there's the whole half of the Vibrational UPgrade System that is mindfulness coaching. Applied mindfulness is what I call it, because the people who work with me are given the necessary coaching, and then the Vibrational UPgrade practitioners are given the necessary techniques to be able to take a person out of thinking, oh my God, I'm hearing those thoughts again. That means I haven't solved this. That means I need to continue to work on healing this, just because they're hearing the thoughts, when in fact, in the subtle energy system, it's been dropped. And in the consciousness level, it's too much to go into. I'm sorry, you're seeing me pause quite a bit to not give the teaching here because it's not appropriate, but to just, without going into the specifics, let you know that you are not incapable of change. Energy is changing all the time. It is such a Western dogma. It is so steeped in our conditioning and in our culture to assume, and I don't mean to say the East is perfect and the West sucks, good and bad both. We make things solid and real. We're more focused on the visible. We're more focused on what we can observe and point to and prove as real, very much because of our patriarchal background. instead of trusting the invisible and knowing how to work with the invisible and valuing the mystery and valuing the intuitive guidance and valuing the heart, the stuff that isn't pointable and provable, which is the yin, the feminine, the divine feminine. We're doing great. We're making great changes in these times of humanity's greatest evolutionary leap. But because we have undervalued the invisible, the mysterious, so that which you cannot point to and say, see, because I see it, I believe it. We have more emphasis on what is physical. And so as we're moving down this pathway, making progress in humanity's greatest evolutionary leap, our spiritual awakening from 2012 to 2032, there are signs of progress being made. There are a lot more people like yourself aware of working with your mindset or your consciousness or your subtle energy system or your chakras, right? But where I still see a sticking point is the old paradigm being applied to working within subtle energy and within energy medicine and within work with consciousness and yoga and meditation. Because energy is a wave at the subatomic level, and there's certain stuff, I write about it in my books, that collapses the wave into making something physical and real. So now if you take the reverse of that, if you're in the process of rolling back something that's already physicalized or a habitual pattern, which is solid, has been made solid by the repeated focus on it, in whatever subtle energy pattern hasn't gotten cleared yet, and whatever back of the house consciousness hasn't gotten cleared yet and activated to the frontal lobe or the front of the house consciousness for you to use and have more applied mindfulness now to the pattern with the automatic triggering released, then you're going to stay in a point of repetition, and you're going to possibly feel like a hamster on a wheel. Now, there was a lot in this video. I just came from a wonderful festival here locally. It's my Sunday, and I've really been having fun. So I want to stop there. I want to ask that you probably repeat this video because there was a lot there, and there is just no reason to think that whatever it is that you're dealing with can't change, because it can. Namaste.